you've obviously managed Norwich United before, and had a couple of years. Are you pleased to be back for a second spell?
Yeah, so really pleased to be back. It wasn't an opportunity that I saw coming, really. Obviously, conversations with my brother said that, Cedric might be finding it a little bit difficult, and obviously he took that decision. And then 2 days later, chairman gave me a call and said, would I be interested in coming back? Which I've been doing a little bit with Dis, and had agreed to take them to the end of the current season, which obviously unfortunately got cut short. So I did have the option to stay on there, and they were keen for me to stay, and I was obviously considering that and just weighing up all the everything that would need to be done. And then when this opportunity came up, it was for me a no-brainer. I suppose for me, it was more the decision of, do I want to be coming back into football? And because I'd already sort of taken that step back end of last season, then it was an easy decision to make. Plus with my brother this time wanting to sort of become closer and in an assistant manager role, that certainly helped as well. So there's so much opportunity at Norwich United. And obviously I felt this last time, that I always feel that we're just a few steps away from really pushing the club on. And it seems this time around that there is more people and behind the scenes, and that seems to be growing. And there seems to be a real desire to move things forward off the pitch. And that's great, because the chairman's always been fantastic in putting together a competitive budget and being able to assemble a good squad. And, that's no different of what they've done last year and what we'll obviously aim to do this year. But I always just felt that they're away from the football, the club just needed to do a little bit more. And it seems as though that there's some really good people now, with Neil Wood as secretary, and Daryl, who's now coming on board as fixture secretary and doing there's some real momentum to take things forward. And I'm keen to engage with that as a manager, because I feel that is really important, and it makes my job as manager easier when you've got a club that the whole thing is moving in one direction. And probably last time I felt that I was doing too much of that myself, which took its toll a little bit. But this time just seems to have a fresher feel to it all, and that's exciting, because I honestly believe that Norwich United can be and should be one of the biggest semi-pro clubs in the county.
Lovely. Well, that's great to hear. I mean, from a supporter's perspective, Neil in particular has been very good at basically just coming round and chatting to us and getting, keeping us informed of what's going on, and just kind of bringing the fans together a little bit and stuff. So that's been good. He's
got obviously I've only known him sort of a month, but he's just got a really proactive way about him, and he's very solution based, and as a manager that's brilliant, because naturally in the course of a week, and particularly this time of year, there's a lot of preparation that goes into this. You're dealing with ongoing situations and issues, but to have someone like him as secretary who's just proactive about everything is first class. And he's been brilliant in the last month. I mean, we inherited a situation when not one player was signed, in terms of no one had a rolling or a 2-year contract for this season. So effectively, the club didn't have a player 3 weeks ago. And as of today, with the exception of obviously the 2 boys that have moved on, and 2 more that we're just hopefully finalising things, everyone is now signed, and 6 of those have signed 2-year deals. So
is that right?
Yeah. So we're now sort of drip feeding all that through in terms of our communication.
So how many will be in the squad, or how many is that?
So we'll be looking for a senior squad of around 15, 16. But within that, there are 2, 3 emerging under 18-year-olds that can
Great.
make that transition from the 21 group.
Yeah.
And then I would like an 18 to 21 group of around sort of 25 players.
Okay.
Probably that can, again, we can migrate between the Floodlit League if that happens on a Thursday and a Saturday fixtures in the Anglian Com. So we're just putting the plans in place for that, and that's a key part of the recruitment is young players who are now breaking into or for the first time looking at senior football. So yeah, so we're just putting that structure and that plan together.
Do you see that as an important thing for the club, bringing through younger players from the 18s and the 21s?
It's vital. It is absolutely vital for many reasons. One, we have a youth system at Norwich United. So if we aren't migrating players from 15, 16s into the under 18s and then into senior football, then there's a huge gap in our player pathway, which in turn I think would detract the better players seen as a viable option probably from the age of 13 upwards once they're going into secondary school.
Yeah.
I think if you can bring players that have been with you through your youth system, they're already ingrained in the club, and they're easier to keep, I think, in the long term. From a financial aspect, you've got to be able to supplement your squad with talented youth players. You can't have 18 senior players that all want to play football because the numbers don't work. So you need boys that are, 23, probably down to 16, who are wanting to break into that, but also as part of their development will go and play Anglian Com games on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So that for me is really important. And Martin Meek, who is our coach, he's also been tasked with recruitment at under 21 level. So he'll be working with Rod Dyer and actually going out and proactively targeting players to make that move into the club.
Okay.
And as I said, again, there's many clubs out there that haven't got that set up. So we've got that set up. We just need to put some fuel in the engine and start to make it work for us, and instead of being almost a burden for us, if you like. But my background is youth development. As I said, I've worked with Norwich City and various local clubs, and I suppose I am biased towards youth because that's how I was brought up and where I did my coaching badges. So big focus will be on that for the coming season for sure.
Brilliant. Well, that's again great to hear. I mean, from fans' perspective, it's certainly been exciting. I do like a mixture of experienced players as well, and the characters and everything. But some of the young players last year was quite just seeing them improve almost game to game, month to month. It's quite a special thing to watch at times.
And I think that's a good point you mentioned there in terms of that mix. And I think when you look at any side that is successful, you have got that mix of emerging talent, of players probably 24 to 28 who are in their peak and performing at their best. And then you've probably got the players who are slightly past their peak, but will offer so much in terms of experience and manage that dressing room environment.
Yeah.
And we've got that. And in fairness to Norwich United, they had that under Cedric. They had that last time I was at the club, and they had that under Damien Hilton as well. And that's something that has probably almost been ingrained in the last sort of 10 years as a philosophy that we will develop young players. Yeah. And part of the reason for that is because they have got really good, established, more experienced senior players that help with that process. You can't do that all as a manager. No. That learning goes on in training. That learning goes on on the way to games. In how the senior players communicate with the young players, in what will be tolerated and what is accepted, and we've got that, and that's special. I think that's special because I don't outside the professional game, that it's difficult to. I think it's difficult to achieve that. And that's something that we've really got, and is a big strength and benefit to the football club.